This is a story that was rejected by one of the grandest literary magazines in Britain back in February. I literally haven't looked at it in 7 months, but I remember it being very ambitious and wordy, but hopefully it has a big heart too. Wordsworth did not prepare me well for mountains. What would he do with a mobile phone showing the text, "Sorry baby, make it down yourself," signed off with wineglass emojis, from his mother? Here plumed out in the sky's streaks of diamond white, lit with tungsten, of course, his superhuman sense of, quote, "something more far deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns," unquote. But that mountainous placidity would not fuse the fragmentation between me and my mother, or me and anyone else here my age. I snatched some desperate comfort from the eagle watching me, a wobbling mountain-perched late teen in my salopettes and slimed goggles and sniffles that I marked down as just a cold. Did William Wordsworth suffer vertigo? His self-dissolving pantheism would imply otherwise. His self-dissolving pantheism would imply otherwise. He would nibble on a loaf. At home I had a few bars of candle mint cake, featuring his fatherly face, offering hiking calories. At the thought of that face and that sugar, I finally sobbed. There's the opening paragraph. The thump-bump-dumped noise pollution behind me from the après bar mocked me. It said, "Romantic poets don't have friends," and "Your mother never wanted you here." As each song ended, there was a cheer, just as a second one met each new song's beginning. And somewhere in that Van Show crowd danced my mother, having divorced herself back into the life she had mourned, once again befriended, beloved, belonging, and childless. I took myself down a little way into the forehead of a run. Parallel skis tilted in a corner clutter of snow-ploughing pizza slices at every bend. Whew. But this face did not have the gentle wrinkles I needed dusk skiing. One word, because you know it's a thing. I was already, in devastating cliché, cold, hungry, tired, and with no way to escape my own needs, skidding down the Botox brow of the mountain visage. "I'll see you down there," I said to the eagle, "if you can see me down." An epiphanic peasant pointed the way. Epiphanic or epiphanic? Probably epiphanic. Wordsworth is protected by angels. My mobile was by now dead. Not even the geostationary angel's satellites could locate me. Fixed so carelessly on fiberglass-wrapped wood, on a shelf of snow, I knew the yearning to be an angel. Tracks clicking, France flying. Okay, that is a sentence. On the train from London to the mountain's feet, I was wrapped in his prelude, in Hazlitt's Spirit of the Age, and anachronistically, Iris Murdoch, brackets, romantic gem like flame burners all, exclamation mark, close brackets, as in parallel, my mum, at St. Pancras, at both Gare de Nord and Gare de Lyon, and at Grenoble, connected her friends and with them laughed, drank gin. Tracks clicking, France flying. Okay, a willful revocation of a safer height for an inevitable down. There we go. Wow. Okay, committed myself I put sans Marie, the man, I let my skis slide leftward, forward to the left, towards that one red pole flutteringly holding in nothing from the precipice it marked. You feel acceleration before you act on it. You feel everything bodily before you decided what to do with it. My brain, gladly avoiding the stamping heel trying to untangle my twisted and always skidding skis, envisioned a magic lantern show of these moguls, Moroccan moguls on camels, at the feet of an intruding mountain range, and Mowgli himself swinging through the trees beside. Skiing, always skiing, I realized I could no longer not turn. I must turn. Knees bent, back bent, arms bent, totally as close to the ground as I could, as if gripping every hinge of my body gave me any guarantee against the scythe at the edge. I tilted and accelerated and tilted further up. and finally remembered again to breathe. Made my... Okay, where is it? What is the actual subject of the sentence? Only the distant cheer. The distant cheer. Only the distant cheer for the last après song. Open brackets, and of course not my unimpressive downward progress. Okay, that's correct. Yeah, okay. Made my unregulatable anger turn towards my mother, my absent chaperone, my proud custodian flaunting her custody. In rage, my usual trick was to run away, but now I would again run down, or to follow Buckminster Fuller's idea, run in towards the Earth's centre. From a certain perspective, the Earth is smoother than any ball. From that perspective, I do not exist. The prelude is barely a sheet of toilet paper from that galactic perspective, comparable to a dust mote or an ATM machine or the highest mark of human achievement, and nothing compared to those metric tons. Deep breaths. Dream of glaciers refreezing and the warm shower that awaits you, if you can avoid the tumble and the hearse. The boy in question, he indeed turned out to be a boy, was crumbling the snow in his controlled, daring ski twists with 3 friends, 1, 2, 3, tac tac tac, a delectable from 50-odd metres off boy, with 3 pretty girlfriends. He must be fun. Fun now meant something more. I hope to God he was more. With saluts and bientos, we saw off the boy. He made a glare at me. Murderous. Look, give me your phone. What does the look do at the start of these young people's sentences? My Isherwood camera prefrontal life mirror wondered. Look, watch me. I can do it. Follow my footsteps. Let me be the good King Wenceslas, you silly child. Witness me. Look at me. Pay me dividends in the attention economy. Taking my mobile, she Bluetoothed some photos from hers into it, opened them on my social media, and clearly it was a skill, a performance, a kind of surgery in a theatre. Cropped, coloured, captioned, arranged and reordered the 4 into a swipe post. It should be a swipe post. And she tagged it in my story, and she sat fixed, trans, as each of my few dozen followers viewed the story, which some liked, and proceeded to the post itself, which some liked. Big flow map, which, like the current discharge maps we drew in physics lessons, took account of every volt tapped into the capacitor diodes all over, under the screen, and the screens of every user. A digital holiday photo album self-presentation, presenting further defences against the self. Talk about a compound noun. Digital holiday photo album self-presentation. 6. Presenting further defences against self. We all make personae, glittering in their epidermises between image and imagined and the deeper, presumed, core of a person. The tastes, and of course the moods, of my coincidentally assembled range of followers were now dictating the operations of her central nervous system. In her stillness, the invisible processing function unknowably word. The last word of that paragraph is word. All medicated, the night ended in a deeper darkness than the one we'd postponed with dance noises and artificial light. I arrived at the end of my childhood with the knowledge of the word blackout. And there's a double paragraph break. Curtains are enlivened by the light they block, and every shade of magenta and ocean glowed in Holly's rented apartment, waking dusk, waking me, revealing Jean unawoken. His sleeping head and sleeping arm were rested on my chest, and we both lay out on a floor strewn with the cupboard's stored bedding. My phone says it's not even 6 a.m. What are you doing up? Are you even awake? Jean doesn't look up to register himself in my eyes, but in the reflex of a sleeping lover snuggles, in italics, snuggles, and snuggling in plants not a few, not even a few dozen, but thousands of pimply kisses all over my neck and chest, and spinning away in a helix of duvet, plants his arse in my trousered crotch. The girls agreed to meet on the slopes at 11, and I wasn't chasing Jean, but I did follow him out of the house as swiftly as I fucking could. Of course, stood at the snowy intersection, everywhere is snowy, a redundant adjective that longs for our language to also have 6 words for it. Watching the marching families, the space boot parents, the children on toboggans pulled by ropes, I knew, there's the verb, I knew I wouldn't find him here, and nor would we sit here with espressos or early aperols like 2 of the other breeds of tourists, since he was an apparent darkness lover. Sex behind curtains. That paragraph is 2 sentences, and the first one is about 1 line long. Reblochon on cuts of tenderness, buttery sourdough baguette might well be enough to live for. There we go. That's a sentence in itself. Reblochon on cuts of tenderness, buttery sourdough baguette might well be enough to live for. Anonymous, first name Jean, affection on a duvet hardwood floor, followed by the AOC cheeses of Isère and Haute-Savoie and strong coffee. Is that enough? Almost at once the cheese eclipsed the love game, resting in its round, equal to the desires of a dormitory full of families, and in the case of a crisis pre-peaced appetite, its cousin in the kitchen fridge would be fetched to provide the rest. Okay, we've gone from sex to cheese. This is clearly a bigger focus of me back in February. My boy Jean, however, and I was aware of the little right I had over that possessive pronoun, had been in a constant chase away from my desire from him. Wordsworth did not prepare me for mountains. Jean could not prepare me for love. The winter sunburn conditions of the days before had receded into a cloudy haze of snowy airiness. Here we go. At the top, for the first time in the snow, plodding before clicking into my skis with my body's weight aimed down each leg. There we go. I was cold. The mists fell around us in blasts and smoothed all the views of the higher and lower ridges and hillside forests into blank. Okay, leg and an opposite pole. And a reluctant acquiescence in the slight incline of the hillside brought me to the threshold of a piste, which thoughtlessly I crossed. A pair passed, yelping and cackling into a rag of mist that held itself over me, hiding them and everything in a simplifying whiteness. I had stopped myself, and again I faced the chasms on every side, but the slow clamber up or down, on foot, carrying everything. I'd thought I needed Jean, or Jean, to satisfy the joy hole left by a life of the self-protection of the lonely boy. But here I realised he was not just a substitute for Wordsworth. I needed Jean for himself too. A whistle, a gripping under each armpit like an industrial rack, and sliding left to right, carriage showed me hope, safety. How rich those words were, when lived and felt, with the pant of a lover bearing you home. Close your eyes, I hold you, Jean said. Nasty one today. He swerved and gripped me closer. Whiteout.